Hello everyone, welcome to Vibrant Vikas Tech channel. This is the first video of this channel and first video of the series that we call JavaScript Interview Questions. And we will be covering a lot of questions in this series, from very basic to very advanced questions. And we will go very deep in each and every topic so that we understand very deeply what's going behind the scene. So before starting this video, I will just show you how you can just get the same setup as I have. So go to your tab in your any of the browser and just inspect that, or you can say you can just simply click Control Shift I, or you can do right click and go to the inspect. Here you will get something like this, developer tool, and if you go to sources, so here you will get this new snippet thing. If you don't see this, just click on here, maybe this one, right? And you will get this snippet option. Just click on new snippet and you can create a new snippet and you can start writing JavaScript code here. So we will be using this setup because it helps us to put breakpoint and go deep and see the call stack, memory heap, everything. We will be also able to see the console. So how can we enable the console drawer along with this, right? So you just go to the right side top corner. Here you will see one this show console drawer option. If you click on this, you will get this. So what does it help? If you just write console.log vvt, and if you just click Control Enter or just this button, and you will see the console. And if you just put breakpoint here, if you put Control Enter, so you will be able to put the breakpoint, see the call stack, memory heaps, everything, right? So this is why we want to use it. And now let's go to our video. I'll just close this window because we are not going to do anything here. So I'll directly jump to the question now. All right. So we are starting with this first question, which is based on scoping concept of JavaScript. Now, if you just see, we are declaring one variable here with var keyword, and then we have one function, right? And then we are calling this function, and we have then console log a statement. So if you see, if you just pause this video and try to see like what will be the output of this video, it will be really helpful. So I'm just assuming that you paused the video and you have written the output of this video. Now we will discuss the concept first, then we will run on this Control Enter button. So now when this whole code is getting executed, a global execution context is getting created, right? And then when you call this function, then again one more execution context gets created for this function. So now when you go to this function by calling here, at this point of time, here if you see, while creating this execution context in memory creation phase, we already have this A present in this execution context. So when it will try to fetch the information for A at this line number 4, it will first try to see in the same execution context, right? And at that point, it will be not available because it is now in temporal dead zone. TDZ, if you are aware of that. We will discuss these topics in concept video in very detail. But for this question, you just think about this. This is in now temporal dead zone, and that's why when it will come to this point, it will not go and fetch this because in this execution context, we already have A. It is just in temporal dead zone and it will not provide any value because it is not initialized, right? So if I click on this now, see, it is saying that reference error cannot access A before initialization because this is the temporal dead zone concept, right? You can't access the variable if you have declared with let keyword or const keyword. So it is now, let's see what's happening inside, right? Let's put a breakpoint here at line number 4. Now I'll execute the same code again. Now you see, we are now inside function 1, and if you see this local scope, we have function 2, and there is a variable a which is value unavailable. That is something that you can assume that this is something. For now I will just say that just assume this is temporal dead zone. We will cover this topic in concept video. So because of this, it is not going to check whether we have a variable outside or not. If you see in the global scope, we already have a is equal to 1, but it will not go there because it already has this a. So that's why it is printing that error, because this is unreachable. This is unavailable for this as of now. And if I execute, if I step over, you will get this error. So this is one tricky question that you can expect in interview, because in hurry, what you will do, you will just say that, oh, it is not here, so it will go and it will try to print 1, but it's not like that. Okay, so this is the first thing. So let's comment this out and let's run this code. Now, if we comment this, we'll pass this error, right? Because now we are not accessing that, and that's why it will not give any error. So execution will go from here to this line number 13, and now it will go to this, and it will create a separate execution context for this. And here again, a separate memory creation phase will be executed, and this a variable is now inside this scope. This is functional scope, right? So this a is now already present here, but when the execution will be at line number 8, this is undefined, because in memory creation phase you don't get this value. If it is var, then it will just assign a undefined value for this one. So for this line 8, you will see that most of the people, you will see that it is undefined, so it should go and print 1, but nothing like that. Or it will go and print 2. Nothing will happen like that. It will simply find that a in the same scope first, and because it is available with undefined value, so it will print undefined. And then when it will go to line number 10, it will print 3, because at that point of time it will get this value from here. Right, so this is how it will be executed. Now let's just run this code, and let's remove the breakpoint first, and we will see the output. So if you see, it printed 3, right? It printed 3 from here. If you see, it printed undefined, then 3. So let's first go inside this function and see what's happening there. Then we will go to the result. So I will run this function. Now if you see, for this scope, we already have a. When it is executing this function, it is already having a, but it has undefined. And if you see, in the global scope, we still have a colon 1. And if I enable this one, okay, no, let's not go to this as of now. So it is already having a1 here, but for this, let's focus on this part. Here it is having a undefined at this point of time. But as soon as, and that's why this is printing undefined for line number 8, but as soon as I click on this step over, it will get the value, and that's why it will print 3. Now, once you go from here, let's put breakpoint here, right? Once you just exit from this function execution, this complete thing will be destroyed, and you will see what happened. So now see, that local, that inner function 2 execution is now destroyed, and now we are in line number kind of 14. So it is function 1 execution, and you can see the a colon 2 because it is there in this scope. Now step over and let's come to line number 18. So now it is pointing to the global scope, which is a1, which was not disturbed at any point of time, and it is still a colon 1. So it will print 1 at line number 18. See, it printed 1. So this was the first question, and we saw that how a scoping concept is important, right? You have to consider, you have to know that how a execution context is getting created for, if I use this pen, and we have to know, like, when it gets executed, there is one function execution context here, then another functional execution context is here getting created, right? So for each and every execution context, we have two phases. One is memory creation phase, one is code execution phase, and accordingly we get variables for that function. If that variable is not available, I'm not saying it is defined or undefined, I'm saying if it is not available, then only it will go to the outer scope, right? So what I'm saying is, if you are here at line number 8 and if you're trying to access a, it will first check whether a is available in this function or not, and then if it is, if finds that a is not available, then it will move to parent scope. If it doesn't find a here, then it will move to global scope. So this works like that. So whether or not it is having value or not, you have to check whether it, what keyword are you using for this variable. If it is let or const, it will be in temporal dead zone, so you will get error, reference error. But if it is var, then it will assign undefined and you will not get any error. It will print undefined. I hope it is clear to you. Like, it was a trickier question which can help you in interview. So let's remove the breakpoint here. Let's remove all the breakpoint. And now we will move to another question. The second question, I hope the concept of this temporal dead zone, local scope, global scope, functional scope is now clear to you. And let's move to another question now, which will be based on a basic of event loop. So let me bring the question for you here. Okay, let's remove this. We are at wrong place. Okay, let's remove this. Okay, now let's understand this question first. Don't just jump and write your output. Okay, first understand line by line what's happening. So at line number 1, we have a synchronous code, which is just printing start. At line number 3, we have a set timeout, which is, if you know about web APIs, I'll explain all of these concepts in detail in concept videos. But it is now going to web APIs, which will be taken care by the browser. Then it will move from here to, it will go to the queue micro task. So it is another function which just helps you to kind of queue some task in the micro task queue. And at this line from 7 to 10, I think you are assuming that it is a promise, so it will not do anything, but nothing like that. When you see, when you say new promise, it is a synchronous code, and accordingly it will be resolving in the line number 9, and then it will become asynchronous for this other, another dot then handler. And this is again a synchronous code. So first of all, if you find any question which is having set timeout, micro task thing, or promises, first of all think about the synchronous and asynchronous code. So I'll just ask you to pause this video here and try to see what will be the output if you just try to attempt by yourself. Okay, and then I assume that you paused the video. Now let's continue. So first of all, how the execution is getting, executed, how the code is getting executed in call stack. First of all the synchronous code will be executed, and then your asynchronous code will be executed based on event loop. How that event loop is going to take the callbacks from micro task queue and callback queue to the call stack, right? So if you see here, we have some synchronous code and some asynchronous code. So let's try to see what is synchronous and what is asynchronous here. So let's print the synchronous code first. So first of all, it will print start because it just it's a synchronous code here. Then it will go to the line number 3, and let's also list what are the callbacks available, right? So if you see, there is a timer starting here, but this will go in a timer queue, and that we will call it callback queue or macro task queue, right? Macro task queue. And another thing is micro task queue. Micro task queue. Okay, now here we will just make a list, but here we will print the result. So first of all, it will print start, then it will move to this line. Here it will encounter one set timeout. So it will just say, it will just throw this code to web API, and web API will handle this timer. Okay, so here let's say there is one timer. I'll just list it now. Let's say T1. Okay, and then it will go to queue micro task. So there will be one queue micro task here. So let's say one Q1, or you can say M1. Okay, and then it will move to line number 7, where it will run this synchronous code first, and that's why it will print inside promise first, because this is synchronously going to be executed. And here I think most of you will make mistake, because you will think that it will go to the micro task phase, but it's not like that. It will go to that once it resolve, once it execute this. So line number 8 will be printed here. Then at line number 9, it will resolve, and this particular thing, this callback function will go to the micro task queue. So I'll say micro task queue 2 here now, right? And then it will go to this end. It will print end. Okay, let's see. So now synchronous code has been executed, and now it will try to see. So basically now the event loop will do the job. It will first of all check the micro task queue, and here it will first execute the first callback from micro task queue, and which is M1 coming from here. So it will just execute this function, this, and it is queue micro task. It will print queue micro task here. Okay, and then after printing this queue micro task, it will remove this micro task from here. And now it is very interesting. So the event loop video will come, but for now it just assume that once you finish all the micro task queue, then only you move to callback queue, right? So again we have one M2, so it will execute this one, right? This was M2. So it will execute this handler, and it will print promise, and then it will remove this task, basically callback, from the micro task queue. And now it will go to callback queue, where this set timer handler is there. So then it will print timer at last. So the concept here is, if you have multiple micro task queue, it will first execute all of them, then only it will move to callback queue. Okay, so this was a concept I think you have to know from here. So let's now run the code, and then we will go very deep into this. So now if I show you, see, I think it matches what we discussed, right? First it prints a start, then inside promise, then end, then micro queue micro task, then promise, then timer, right? So this is how it executed. But now let's go and put some breakpoint, and let's see what we discussed is correct or not, right? So I think we can, if we want to debug, I'll just put a breakpoint here and here, and then we will write this function inside another line so that we can put breakpoint. Still it's not allowing. Okay, okay, let's revert this. We will just see this one, the new promise one, and we will move to the another question, because we have one more question. So let's run this. Okay, now if you see, it has printed a start from there, line number 1 in the console, and now this has not been gone into line number 12, and it is now executing line number 8, because this is a synchronous code. New promise is not a is asynchronous code. Resolve is asynchronous, right? So now it will print this inside promise, and let's see what happens. So inside promise, it then it will resolve this promise now, and it will go to this, and it will just register this particular promise resolve, and it will move from there. It come to this console.log end, and then see now it is going to macro task queue, and now it is printing queue macro task. If you see, the first callback from macro task queue is now getting printed. Then it will go to the second micro task here. Okay, see, now it is going to second micro task queue and printing promise. Then at last, when it sees that there is not any callback remains in the micro task queue, it will go to the macro task here. Okay, see, and then it will print timer. Nice. So this is how event loop concept is important, and we will go very deeper when we will discuss event loop. But now, if you see, this question has many things to learn, and that's why I thought it should be included. Now let's go to another video, another question, which is again based on event loop. Now let me just copy that particular snippet, and we will discuss line by line again that what's going on, what is the concept behind it, and then we will print that. So I have copied next question here now in the snippet. And now I'll again ask you, please watch this video and try to see if you are able to answer this question, because it is very advanced. I would say this is not a beginner friendly question. If you are a senior developer or middle to medium to senior developer, I think you are expected to answer this question. But if you are a beginner or if you are a junior developer, maybe you will struggle to find out the answer for this question, because this uses a very good event loop concept. So now let's understand what's happening here, right? So we will again go one by one, and we will write the result first, then we will execute the code. So first of all, the concept is same. First, see, there is only one concept. First of all the synchronous code will be executed, then event loop come into the pictures, and it will execute all the callback functions from microtask and macrotask queue. It will pick all the microtask queue callbacks first of all, then it will move to callback function. Okay, and now in this question we are going to get one more addition to this concept. Okay, so let's print the synchronous code here. So first of all, at line number 1 it will print A, then it will move to line number 3, and in line number 3, if you see, you have this particular handler in this timer. So it will register this particular function in the web API timer queue, that will execute in us that will be executed asynchronously, right? And that will go to the callback queue. Basically, yeah, macro task queue or callback queue or task queue, whatever you say. So we will not do anything about this now, but you have to just keep in mind that this complete handler, or let's mark it as okay. Let's move to the next one. So here, if you see, this is now getting synchronously resolved at the time and when the execution is at the line number 10. So this particular handler will be registered right in the micro task queue. Again, we have now one callback queue in one callback function in the callback queue and one callback function in the micro task queue. Now it will go to line number 17 and the synchronous code will be printed. Okay, now as per the concept, after executing the synchronous code, it will first go to micro task queue. And here, this is the micro task queue, first callback. So it will execute this. If you see line number 11, it will just now it will go like the same way. It will print line number 11 first. So it will print D, and then it will see that there is again one set timeout. So it will register this particular handler in callback queue, right? So it will not be executed at this time. It will go behind that first callback queue, which is here, right? So now just assume we have executed this particular thing, then it goes to the callback queue, and now it will go to the first callback queue, which is this, right? So it will print line number 4 first. So that is B, and then it will again encounter, okay, it will again encounter one promise, and it will register this particular. So I think it is becoming complex for you, but let me just go back and at this page. So you know the micro task was executed here, but let's see what was that in callback queue at that time. So I'll just write here. So if you see first, it was having this one, right? So I will say CB1. Now when we executed this code, right, in the micro task queue execution phase, we registered another callback queue with set timeout. So this we will call callback 2 for set timeout. So it is callback 2. Now we have finished executing micro task queue here. So we will move to the macro task queue, callback queue, and we will go to callback 1. So this will be executed. It will again execute line by line. So line number 4 will be printed. So it will print B, and then it will encounter again one promise, and then there will be a micro task queue, right? And it will register that once it sees that there is a promise. Basically it will be executed synchronously, and it will be asynchronously registered for micro task queue execution. So this will be registered here, let's say M1. Okay, now there is another concept. So this one is getting finished. Okay, so this is now getting finished in the execution, but remember, once you have multiple things in callback queue, before moving to another one, it will first check in the micro task queue whether there is something or not. So now we are finishing this execution here, but it will not execute this callback queue. It will first go again to micro task, because this is the rule. That's why we call this is priority queue, right? If you have read, maybe somebody call it priority queue because of this reason, because it will not execute all the callbacks in callback queue. It will check this micro task queue after each and every completion of this callback queue from callback queue, right? So it will execute CB1, then it will check, it will execute CB2, then it will check there is something, and before moving to this callback queue, it will finish all the micro task queue. That's why we are calling it priority queue. Now let's let's remove this because we completed this execution. Now it will again come to M1, and this is our M1, which is C. It will print C. Okay, now it will print C and then it will be destroyed. So we will remove this from here, and this will again, it will go to callback Q2, which was this one, right? So then now it will print E. Okay, so the concept here is, even if you have multiple C1, C2, C3, and if you are here in, let's say, M1, so if you are executing this callback 1, right? If you are executing this callback function 1 from callback queue, then after executing this C1, it will first check whether we have something in micro task queue. Then only it will move to this C2. Again, after completing this C2, it will again move to this, and then it will go to C3. So this is the new thing that is I wanted to highlight in this particular question, that you should know, because this is very tricky. You have to just know that after execution of each and every callback function that you have in callback queue, it will go to micro task queue. Okay, so now let's let's go to the result. Let's print it. Okay, now let's see if it is in the same order. So first A, then F, then D, then B, then C, then E, right? So see, it is not like if you don't know this concept, might be you will be wrong answering this question. But the point here is you have to know the execution flow, like how and what gets triggered after which, right? So I think that was all from the first video of this JavaScript interview question, and it was based on code output. Most of the time you will get this in product-based companies where you will be interviewing for front-end role or back-end Node.js role. So they will try to see whether you know this core concept or not, right? That's why I tried to explain you. We will cover event loop in very detail in concept video. But for this video, that's all from my side. And keep learning. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, keep coding, keep rocking. Bye bye.